Well, hey there, pedal people. It's Pedal Guy here. How you doing? Today what we're going to do is we're going to mess around with synthesizers and pedals. But before we get started, please take a second and click on that subscribe button down there and ring that bell so you can stay up to date with all of our videos. And if you're watching this on Facebook or Instagram, be sure to like and follow us so you can stay up to date with all of our activities. Well, why are we here? So briefly, if you've been following our Instagram feed, you'll notice that I have not been able to play guitar. Mainly due to a little injury. So while we're working through that, I thought it might be fun to just bring out the synthesizers here and go back to working with pedals again and synths, because that seems to be kind of a popular topic right now. And what I'm using here is the Vinicius Electrik Lizard System. This is a really in-depth synthesizer. So if you're new to synthesis, if it's something you've been dabbling with, this may be a little bit more than you want to take on right off the bat. But it creates some amazing soundscapes, and it's just a lot of fun to play with. So what we're doing in this synth, in this situation here, in this setup, I should say, very simple. We are using the Lizard itself as an oscillator, and then we are using the multi-waves module here as a secondary oscillator, so that we can have a bass line and a counterpoint. So you get something that sounds a little bit like this. So here's the bass part. Right, and then we have a little sequence that goes on top of that. And we have a little mixer here on the side, which makes this a lot of fun to work with. So what are we doing here? Well, we're using it with the NuX pedals here because I had a couple of them lying around, and I figured let's throw caution to the wind. So we're using a Monterey Vibe, we're using a Konsequent delay, and we're using an Oceanic reverb. So let me just mute that melody line there, and let's just concentrate just on the bass part here. So what we could do is we could turn on, say, the reverb. Give it a little depth. Now, keep in mind, of course, once you start making adjustments here, you might want to also make adjustments to your synth, because that's going to absolutely have a material impact on things. Just be careful you don't crack your speakers if you are using speakers, or hurt your ears if you're using headphones. Okay, so that's a good point right there. If we want to add some univibe to that, we can use the Monterey Vibe. Then we can dial back that reverb because we don't need that much. And then if we really want to throw caution to the wind, we can start using the Konsequent. Let's kill the Monterey Vibe and the Oceanic. Now what you can do with this pedal, this is really fun, is you could just do a tap tempo if you want. And of course, if you're not happy with it, you just use the time knob to set it to whatever time you want it to be. So we're at 120 BPM, so if I slow that down to say 100, we can make something that sounds pretty nonsensical. Let's bring that back up to 120 BPM. Okay. So it gives the bass kind of a slap back. All right, so now let's bring in the counter, the melody here. And let's kill the bass line. So now let's bring that Monterey back in. And then we're using something called the overfolder here, which is like a digital distortion. I also added in a couple of extra notes here on the sequence if we wanted to have a little variation. Okay, that sounds pretty decent. So let's bring that Oceanic back in. And now slowly, let's bring in that bass line. Okay, so that's just a short example of what we can do with synthesizers and pedals. If you go back through our YouTube channel, you'll see a few other videos that we also did on this subject, where we use the Timberwolf from Akai, we use the Microbrute from Arturia. In this case, we still are using an Arturia product here. We're using a BeatStep Pro. This is our sequencer. So that kind of almost should have its own series of videos because it's pretty in-depth. For a small product. And of course the Lizard is, as I said, a powerhouse synthesizer. So you really need to know what you're doing to get around in this. But you can see through our rainbow spaghetti here of cables. This is quite a complicated little piece of gear here. But synthesists, we really do embrace the mess. So this is actually a lot more fun. I feel kind of like a mad professor when I'm going through this. And that's kind of the beauty of working with pedals, is that pedals are quite simple in that they lay on a pedal board. They're laid out. They're cleaner, I think, in many ways when you start using them with the synths. But still, it's a lot of fun. So anyway, sound off in the comments below. Let us know what you think. If you want to know more about the Lizard, if you want to know more about the BeatStep Pro, we can definitely go back and do some follow-up videos on that in the future. But for more information on these pedals and these other products and the other products that we carry, please visit us at ThePedalGuy.com. Also, be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure you ring that bell. Thanks.